Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. I am Melanie.
And I'm Carla.
And we are on episode 68. And this time we're doing something different. So we actually have Matt Lui with us. Matt, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. So Matt, actually, do you want to do a quick blurb about yourself? Who is Matt?
Yeah.
Hello. Well, yes. I'm Matt Lui. I'm a escape room-ish puzzle designer, aspiring puzzle designer, as well as I am a reviewer of escape rooms and at-home escape games for a group and website called Escape the Roomers.
Oh, that's a key. I love the name.
I know.
So Carla, like when me and Carla first started doing our podcast, she was like, I don't like those type of games.
Yeah, I wasn't into them at all.
She had a change of
They're
heart.
too hard.
She had a change of heart. Now it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. I am a
She's out of
complete
control.
convert.
And then she hunted Matt Lui down.
No, actually what happened was I started getting into them, and I had bought a few used games from a girl in Edmonton, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to get you addicted to these games." And I thought, no, I'm a board gamer. I've got my board games. And she did. She got me addicted to these. I still am a board gamer, but these are like equivalent. And then she's like, "Oh, I'll add you to my group chat." And so I got into this group chat, which Matthew's in, and there's a bunch of us who just talk about puzzle games, the escape rooms from time to time, whatever, but throw in some puzzles like that. Matthew, I don't know if you've developed some of them or if they're just coming from somewhere. And then sometimes if we need help, I'll put something in there. Matthew's usually the first one to help me because he's very brilliant at these games. But it's kind of gone from there. And the reason that I wanted to bring you on the show was escape rooms and escape puzzle games, mystery puzzle games, they're all kind of board game adjacent. And they're really slipping into the board game hobby.
Oh, for
There's
sure.
lots of famous reviewers that are reviewing these games now. The Dice Tower has reviewed some, Slicker Drips has reviewed some, Tantrum House has reviewed some. So you're seeing them
Taking
more
over the
and
world.
more. Yeah, actually, Rado too. One of his assistants, or it's the young teacher. Now I'm forgetting her name. The blonde teacher who reviews for him.
Yeah. I have no idea what her name is.
Oh, I don't know why I'm blanking. She's really good. She's reviewed some. So they're coming in all angles now because they are very board game adjacent, and especially if you're a solo gamer, they're perfect. Because, I used to solo board game a lot. I still do, but I don't solo the big setups anymore because it just takes so long to set up. Whereas these puzzle or escape room games, literally, most of them, you open the box and you start and you go. And you can kind of stop when you want to. You can go at your own pace. Some weeks I just fly through games and I'm just playing them like crazy. And people will see them on the used market. They're like, "Geez, how often do you play? How many are you playing?" But it's just such a great, relaxing way to game. And I feel like it's so board
I
game
like how
adjacent,
you say
it's almost
relaxing,
there.
and sometimes it's like gruesome murders.
Well, yeah.
This just relaxes me.
These
All right, but
case
before we
files
get
on
too
this
far,
murder, yeah.
too far into it, let's talk a bit about what we've played this week. So, Carla, what have you played lately?
So I played a game that a friend brought over. It's a co-op game, and it's actually based on a video game, and it's called Dorf Romantik, which I'm not a video gamer at all, so I had never heard of this game. But I had thought, when I seen the game, I thought, she might like it, and I heard it was a video game before, and she's a big video gamer. So she had bought this game and just couldn't wait for it because she plays it a lot on her computer or whatever. And all it is like, it really reminds me of Carcassonne, but
Oh, okay.
because you're just starting with these tiles. They're like hexagon tiles, and you start with a few on the table, so super easy setup, and then you just start placing these tiles down, and you're trying to get all these different terrains together, like a train. You're trying to get this track built, you're trying to get a stream built, trying to get houses together. But it depends what scoring tiles are out there. So there's always 3 different types of scoring tiles. So say you have like a house one that needs 5 houses. Well, you can only have 5 houses like together, and once you do, you flip that, or you take that scoring tile off and you'll grab another one. And then you might have like a train track that wants 4 tracks together. Well, you already have 6, so now you have to put that somewhere else. So you're trying to get through this stack of scoring tiles before you get through the stack of just normal placement. And the higher you score, you get to open up all these little like boxes. It's kind of a little legacy game or campaign type game. And I can see on video how it would be very addicting, because it's just a big puzzle is what it is. Just a big puzzle that you're trying to figure out and score the most points. And it's really cool. And we've gone through we played 3 games of it, and we'll just continue on with the campaign. Another one I played last night was, I love letter games. I don't know, Matt, if you know that, but I also love to play word games. And this one is one of my favorite. It's called Letter Tycoon. And it's basically a card game, but you have a hand of cards, which are just letters, and you're just going to spell a word. So say I spelt the word tycoon. Any of those letters in that word, I can now buy that patent. So there's a patent for each letter in the alphabet. So say I bought the N. The most common letters are more expensive to buy, because as soon as I buy that patent, anybody else uses my letter, I'm going to get $1 from it. And $1 is a point, basically. A point is, points are how you win the game. So depending on the player count, you, once you get enough patent points, like in a 2-player game, which we played last night, it's 45 points. So as soon as somebody has enough 45 patent points, it triggers the end of the game, and then you'll add up your points. Now, those points plus your money that you have left, and then you also get stocks. If the longer the word you make, you'll get some stocks as well, and those are just kind of banked points. It's a really simple like game to play, and it's such a simple concept. It's basically just buying patents. But the neat thing too is some of the less common letters like X, Y, they have abilities on them. So, people aren't going to use the letters. You're not going to make money off them probably. But like some of them will say, oh, you get to add an S to every word that you have, even if you don't have an S in your hand. So you get an extra letter, or you get to double your word, the amount of money you'll make if you only use one vowel, or like just different things like that. So there's just some like real gamery things in there that add to it and make you think more about making your word. You don't want to make words where everyone's going to get money from them. So, a super easy word, which I was doing last night, was just, it was the first time she played. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to spell whatever. Well, I kept giving her money like crazy, and she ended up winning by 20 points. I'm like, I think it's because I kept spelling all these words that were giving you like $3 every round. And so it's really fun. And I love that one. And that's Letter Tycoon. What about you guys? Mel, what have you?
How about you, Matt? What have you played lately?
So one game I recently got to play. So it's interesting because every game night, I always throw this in, no matter who's coming or no matter who's going to be there. I always throw it into the bag because I really enjoy the game. It's Kill Dr. Lucky.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I have never played it, but I think I bought it for my sister.
It's I don't know. I enjoy the concept, and I think it's kind of just neat. I almost like describe it as a prequel to Clue, because you're actually trying to murder somebody in a mansion. So yeah, you like start out, the board is Dr. Lucky's mansion, and everybody gets a character, and you're there trying to kill him, essentially. Dr. Lucky will move through the mansion in preset steps, while you have cards that you have to play to be able to move around and try to end up in a room with him. But the key is to murder him. You have to end up in a room with him where there's nobody else around, and there's nobody in a room that has a line of sight into that room, so you could murder him with no witnesses. And once you're able to meet that, you then play cards to try to kill him. Or you could stay as humorous as the cards are. You could try to kill him with like your bare hands for 1 point. But if you use a weapon, then everybody also has to play these fail cards around the circle and try to fail your murder attempt. And it's just it's a quirky kind of game because it's also all the cards are written in a very humorous manner too. So even like some of the fail cards would say something like, Dr. Lucky spins around and then just disappears into thin air. Or as you make an attempt, you slip on a banana peel and he's gone. And it's just stuff like that. And it's just kind of well written. And I just enjoy the concept of the game. So after many, many months of keeping it in the bag, we were finally able to pull it out and play it.
Awesome.
Nice. Anything else?
Sounds like it has a bit of a deduction.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you brought it up, it's like, well, that kind of goes with the hobby, like of the.
Yeah, we both love deduction games, me and Mel. So that sounds interesting.
Neat. Now, me and Lily yesterday ended up playing a couple of games. Actually, like we played almost all afternoon. The boys were gone, and she gets into these board gaming moods, and I love it. So one of the ones we played is World Mounuments. This is one that Travis had sent a picture to me. He's like, hey, there's this sale. Do you want any of these? And I was like, yeah, twist my rubber arm. Yeah. And then we finally pulled it off the shelf because this is the first time we played it. And it, like, you got 4 different buildings that you can do, like the Taj Mahal or the Notre Dame, or I think we did like the Colosseum or something like that anyways. And in this game you have these big chunky wooden bricks that you gotta stack, and they're different colors, and then the board you're playing on has like specific colors and combination you gotta do. And then if I play one on the base level, it's worth 1 point, but if you play one on top of a brick that's already there, then it'll score 3 points, and then 5, 7, and it could go up to 9 if you play the one on the 5th level. But you gotta first kind of pick all of the different bricks in the quarry. So you gotta try to pick these different colored bricks, and then you take turn playing it onto this building. She slaughtered me. It was brutal, but it was a really neat game. And I was like, what do you think, Lily? She's like, okay, I really like this one. Like just the components, it was a very simple game to play. But the chunky component was very satisfying. The building up your structure was satisfying. So it was a neat game. And then me and Lee this week played Factory Funner. I've heard Z Garcia talk about this one lots. And I had seen it secondhand, so I bought it, and then I hadn't pulled it. Like I bought it almost a year ago, I want to say. So we pulled it out. It was so good. I see why he likes it so much. But you have these tiles that you flip over, and there's machine tiles that you're going to have to add to this factory, I guess. And you have these resource kind of output tiles that you'll be putting, and then there's all these tubes that you can put. So you'll pick a machine card, and the machine card will like need to have 2 blue, I don't know what the resource is, but we'll call it goo. So 2 blue goo come in this way, and 3 yellow goo this way, and then it'll output pink goo or whatever. Mm-hmm. So then you gotta set your thing so that you can put tubes that'll bring the proper colored goo into the right section, and then afterwards it has to output into something. So you can have like some receptacles that'll collect it, but if you're able to have that goo to go feed another machine, then you're going to score more points. And each of these machines have like an income of some sort, so maybe it brings in $7, but each tubes that you add and component that you add to your factory is going to cost $1. So, and it gets like this intricate puzzle thing that you're just like, okay, because you like it eats up the space as well. And there's like, okay, I don't know where to fit this in. It's like, and you can undo some of the previous work and put new stuff down. And except for the machine. Once you put the machine down, that's permanent. It will never move again. But it gets so tricky trying to fit this puzzle. It was great. I was super impressed with this one. But yeah, so yeah, I've got to bring that to the table again. But we'll get going now with our interview with Matt here. So I'm curious, Matt, how did you get started in all this puzzle and the escape games?
So that's an interesting story. Way back when I remember this because it was my 30th birthday. Edmonton just got their first escape room location. It was called Breakout. And I remember hearing about it, and I was like, oh, this kind of sounds cool. I maybe want to give this a try. So my wife organized a birthday outing for us to go. And I went, and I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty awesome. We're going to have to keep doing this. So I do remember that place had like 4 locations. And 4 rooms. So
Right.
we went there in September for my birthday, and then we went again in October and in November, and then like finished off the last room in February. And it was after that I was like, okay, now what?
I need
Like you
more.
can't. Most escape rooms aren't replayable.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, now we're gonna. How do I keep going with this? So then that year, another location opened up, and then of course, like all summer, we basically went and cleaned and played out every one of those rooms. And then again, kind of like sitting in a lull again. I was like, that was really awesome. We got to keep doing more. And then finally, I think I guess that'd be 2016 at that point. That's when escape rooms really started getting big in Edmonton. And I think even that year, maybe like 6 or 7 locations opened up that year. So it was like, all right, now we can keep going. So I was able to like then play a bunch of those rooms, still enjoyed it. And then every year after that, our family also goes traveling to like Maui, or if we ever are in like Montreal, I always make sure we stop at some escape rooms to go play. So yeah, that's how I kind of got hooked into escape rooms. So I just doing my first one and just finding more to keep going. But then around, I guess I'd say like 2017 and onwards, there was like at-home escape rooms. So I guess the bigger ones like Unlock and Exit started coming out. So we started playing those, and that kind of scratched the itch, I guess you could say.
Yeah. At home anyway, right?
Yeah, at home, exactly. That's right. So we would do that. And then I mostly feel around the pandemic, that's when a lot more escape room places and people kind of started developing their own games, because everybody was at home, and especially a lot of escape room places.
Yeah.
They had to pivot because they couldn't open up their escape rooms. So they started doing at-home games and designing them to sell. So of course, then at that point, when they all started hitting the market, I was like, yeah, let's do them all. So trying to find them, and just kept playing them all. And that's how I kind of kept getting hooked, and how I continue to stay hooked.
Well, and then how did you get involved with Escape the Rumors as a reviewer?
So way back when, trying to remember exactly, but yeah, I think around probably pre-pandemic times, Escape the Rumors actually had a live YouTube show called Behind the Masterminds, where they would interview puzzle creators and puzzle people of type.
Was that during COVID or before COVID? When
I think it was. Sorry, it was probably before COVID.
Yeah,
I think they started just maybe at the start of the pandemic. I can't remember the fully. But they had this show running, and it was live on Fridays, and it was kind of neat because they kind of ran it live, and they also kind of interacted with the audience, which I really enjoyed. So if you were typing questions or comments in the live feed, they would kind of post them up and read them out loud during the show, which I really enjoyed. So I kind of kept checking them out and kept joining. And
that's how I connected you to them. Like, I was already chatting to you in the group chat, and I was watching a bunch of these videos, and every video I watched, Matt was like, he was in the comments, or he was one of the people asking the questions. I'm like, geez, he really is involved with this. And then I had asked him, I'm like, I see you on there all the time. He's like, well, yeah, I review for them. I'm like, really? I thought, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I guess after following them on that channel for such a long time, I knew they were looking to expand their reviewing team. And at first, it was really just Cece and Brandon on their own. So they were kind of doing the traveling and doing all the reviewing. But I guess things were getting so big and they wanted to do more around the world. So they reached out to a couple of us, me included, and asked if I wanted to be a reviewer for them. And of course, I said, absolutely, get to help play more games and get out there and, write up how I feel about them. So, that's how I ended up joining Escape the Rumors.
That's pretty cool. That's neat. Now, so you've been doing reviews for home games and actual escape rooms as well. Like, what's the percentage of what you review?
Especially these days, I guess because there's more at-home games. I would say almost like 80%, maybe 70 to 80% at-home games, and maybe 20% in person. I think some of the things that kind of helps that number is just because there's times I've also, like I said, I've played out most of the rooms in my area. So a lot of times I don't usually go back too often to replay them. So when new rooms come up, that's usually when I do reviews, or when we're traveling. That's when I do the escape rooms reviews. But there's always at-home games coming out all the time. So always getting those and playing those. And I guess reviewing helps me make a deadline as well, because if I know I have to review it, then I know I have to play it, instead of, I could probably play that in a week or two, but I have to review it. I have to sit down and play it.
Now, didn't you just go on a trip with them or something where you got to review with them?
Yes. So it's kind of one of those things too with you, Carla, where I was like, I've talked to them for so long and I've never actually met them in person.
Yeah.
So they ended up doing a Canada tour, and they were going through like Montreal and Toronto. And they were saying, hey, we're going to be in like these areas. Do you want to go? And if you could fly to Toronto or wherever, you can kind of join up with us and we can play some rooms and help review them. So coincidentally, through the escape room and at-home community, I actually met a lot of people who live in Toronto. So at that time too, I was like, why don't I just make it to Toronto and I could like meet up with all these people that I met online, which is something I never thought I would say way when I was younger, that I would be meeting up with people online.
Yeah.
But ended up working the timing and everything. So I was able to fly to Toronto, meet up with Cece and Brandon, and a few other people. And we played, I think, I was there for 4 days and I ended up playing 16 escape rooms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My brain would be fried after that.
Or you get really good.
Yeah, that's right. It made for some long days, but it was still like so much fun. And like, I've even talked to some of the people I went with, and I was like, you know what? Maybe if there's some rooms that you're still looking to play and you can't find enough people or something, maybe wait till next year. I may come again around that time. Because it worked out, because I think a few of them were teachers, so they had their spring break at the time. I was like, I'll come and we can play during the days and everything. Yeah.
And so do you forewarn, like, do you just kind of show up at this escape room, or do you like give them, like, forewarn the company, the business that you are reviewers coming to do their game? Like,
we forewarn them.
Oh, okay.
For a few reasons. One is mostly because Cece and Brandon, they also do like interviews with the creators and try to get like good video shots of the rooms and everything like that. So they do kind of reach out to them first and say, hey, we're looking to come review your rooms. We will come and take pictures. And sometimes escape places are kind of leery about that, especially they don't want to reveal too much of their
exactly
rooms.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the tough part about it, right? Because
exactly,
you can't tell them what it, you can kind of give them a little bit of what it's about when you're reviewing, but you can't really spill any of the secrets or the answers and stuff.
Yeah. So they we usually do kind of give them a heads up, and they take some pictures and ask them, permission if we could use it, or more like, what don't you want us to take pictures of? And is this okay if we, just do even a close-up of this really kind of cool prop and everything? So, we do kind of give them a little bit of heads up that we're coming, and they kind of help organize too and plan. And they're like, they sometimes even say, you know what, even if you like come at the off hour when we close, we can run one more game for just you guys.
Nice.
And, you know, we could take your time with taking the photos versus
Yeah.
if you're in the middle of a Friday night, it's
Mhm.
harder to
Busy time.
kind of coordinate and chat with you guys.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's
Yeah.
neat. So now you mentioned you have deadlines, but like, how does it work when you do your reviews? Like, so you're giving a list of games to review, you got deadlines, and then as well, like, how do you do your reviews? Like Carla just mentioned, you can't give away too much. So how much do you give away?
That's a good question. So usually, like I was mentioning before, especially with reviews, if I know I have to review them, I try to jump on the game a little more. So unless some people try to, you know, coincide a review with their release. So sometimes they would give you a hard deadline and say, hey, can you review it by X date here? If not, I try to play it within the month I get the game, and then review it maybe a week or two afterwards I get it. But usually, I don't know. I try to be pretty quick about it, and if I do play it, I usually play it within like a week or two. Yeah, and then that just kind of one of the criterias, I guess, is we do have like kind of a checklist of items that we try to kind of talk about when we do the reviews. One of the big ones, I think, is, yeah, like you said, we try not to spoil too much. So that's always a hard line because, a hard line to find, because some people are okay with certain things, but some people aren't. Like one of the examples is sometimes one of the things I always look for when I kind of look at other people's reviews, I always want to know if the game is like plays linearly. So if one puzzle follows another puzzle, puzzle, or if all the puzzles are kind of given to you at the beginning and everyone kind of work on their own thing. But I know some people don't want to kind of learn that kind of stuff.
If it's that way.
Exactly. So I always kind of write reviews as how much information I would want to know. So I guess even just in general, a lot of times it's hard to kind of like, check out reviews because you never know what might get spoiled that you might not want to hear. But that's how I usually do my own reviews.
Do you prefer the linear or do you like the puzzle hunt? So Mel, I don't know if I'll just explain this to Mel. She might not know, like, just because it's.
So I'm kind of visualizing where one puzzle will lead you to the next puzzle, lead you to the next puzzle for linear, and then the other one more sandboxy kind of.
Yeah, they're all there.
Yeah,
and you just kind of, or there's somewhere you don't even know what the puzzles are. You're like, I just see all this stuff here. Where's the puzzle? Matt gave me one the other day. He's like, "Okay, do this one," and so I did the puzzle. He goes, "Well, there's a bonus hidden one in there," and I'm like, uh-oh. I couldn't find it. And it was so simple. Like, it was just a simple, but sometimes those puzzle hunts, they I don't know if they just stress me out because I'm like, I have to find it and I don't know what I'm even looking for. But yeah, what do you prefer? Do you like the linear or do you like?
So that varies depending on who I'm playing with. So if it's just me and my wife playing, I don't mind linear. But sometimes, I guess, even for example, at work, I'm playing with like I ended up starting this almost like puzzle group that we play once a week now. Awesome. But now it only started out with 2 of us at first, and it's grown to now 8 of us. So then I have to change which games I end up bringing because when it's linear and there's like maybe just one puzzle and there's 8 of us kind of crowding over just one set of stuff. It's hard to check out. So at that point, I try to find something that's a little more non-linear so that everybody can kind of work on their own things. Yeah. And we don't have, everybody can still participate without having to crowd around or kind of feel excluded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like beginners, I consider myself still a beginner for puzzle games. The linear for me is good because it's just kind of gives me, okay, you do this. So you sit and you do that and then you move to that. And I'm such a black and white person. That's how it is. But I love that the fact that there's the other ones and I have some of them and I open them up and I try them. Like I was showing you the messenger I was trying, opened it up and it's like, I'm not ready for this one yet. Back on my shelf for a little while. Like I could see some of the puzzles in there, but it's like, I can do maybe that one and that one. But these other 5, yeah, that's just going to be a year down the road for me. So I feel like the linear is a good starting point for people getting into them or whatnot. It might just be me when my brain.
No, that's true, actually, because even I was just another thing that Carla and I have chatted about, and how she actually has helped me play a few games too, was because we were looking to trade a game. Can't remember now. Trouble in Folklore Falls.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so I was playing through that one, and even a few times actually, I was like, oh, this one's pretty direct too, because some of the messages, the first one would be like, blah, 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 blah. Now see if you could find this location. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty direct. Like, yeah, I know now what I'm supposed to be looking for. They're telling me what I need as an answer. Yeah. So yeah, that definitely helps, especially for beginners. Yeah. To dive right in and know what you look for.
Yeah.
Well, because with the Unlock and the Exit series, you have like the hint system built in that'll help you. Like, I'm having a hard time seeing how you can get hints if it's like sandbox.
You do still get them, right, Matt? Like there is a system of hints, which yeah.
So
because I need those, right? Yeah. Otherwise, I enjoy them a lot, but I am not good at them. I've discovered.
One thing I've also learned over time is just that, because a lot of people, I've recently talked about this with somebody else. A lot of people say they don't feel smart, especially where they're like, "Oh, I don't like to do escape rooms or anything because I don't feel smart about that." Yeah. But it's almost like anything else. I mean, if you've never done an escape room before, or like you've never played like soccer or done a sport or done anything before, the first time you go in, you're not going to be fantastic at it. Yeah. So it's almost like you do have to play these games a few times to get better at them, to know what you're supposed to be looking for and know what to check out and keep an eye on.
Exactly. Like, an escape room. And so I've kind of done them, from time to time over the year, even saying I didn't really love them. And then I don't even know when or how, but all of a sudden I solved one puzzle and it was like a light bulb, like, oh, I like this now. I'm going to search for that feeling again because I felt smart. And that was exactly what it was. Feeling like you are, figured something out that most people maybe wouldn't, or you did it quickly, or it's just the fact of feeling smart. So if you're going into it and you feel dumb, well then you don't feel smart, then that is really going to shy away from games like that, where some people that don't have any interest in them because they don't feel like they're actually helping or whatnot.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
No, it's not. But I bet yeah, go on.
I was like, if you ever do, because we would do, exit the game with the actual bomb device on the table. Like, that's our New Year's Eve tradition now. So we have one every New Year's Eve. That's what we do. And then we've had one where somebody was just not into it, right? And it was so all of us okay, great. How about this? And then this other person's like, so what are your guys' New Year's resolution? And it's like, not right now.
Shut up. Get in this game.
And those games get so intense. You get so into it. Yeah. And, to have somebody who's not, it doesn't work. Right? So I can see it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've reviewed so many that now, do you have do you have a favorite escape room that you've done, or an experience, favorite?
Oh, that's a
favorite.
That's a loaded question, because there are some that are
or types of favorites, certain types of rooms.
Even just going down the list of ones that I really enjoyed, I guess escape room wise and escape experience, few that stuck out to me was there's this one in Montreal we played. I'm going to butcher its name because I don't know if it's French or not, but it's Salut Medicinal Institute. It's sort of an asylum themed room.
Oh, there's
but see, this is one of those
cool ones in Montreal.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This is one of those ones where I'm not sure how much I'm going to spoil, because I'm going to try not to spoil too much.
I'm sure we won't be doing it anytime soon, but and I'll forget.
Yeah,
so you can tell us.
All right.
If anybody's listening from Montreal, plug your ears.
Yeah.
But it at first it was like a well kind of decorated and well themed room. But I just remember we were going through the room and you were kind of given the objective, and then as you were kind of going along, you just kind of notice like these few small nuances, and you're like, oh, that's weird, like, and that doesn't really make sense, and you just kind of go through it, and then we like got to the end, and I was like, holy crap, that makes total sense what just happened. It's like everything just tied together at the end, and I was like, oh, okay, that was phenomenal, and it just made for like just elevated that experience so much better. So like, yeah, that was probably one of the top rooms I've played. And then in Edmonton, there's one that I'm a big fan of at Escape City called Mind Masters Industries. And it's also kind of like a white room testing, psychological testing kind of room as well. But it's just well decorated, and the puzzles just kind of worked well together as like to play as a group. So it was just a fun experience to go through. Escape City is just a great place because I remember their first rooms and they were kind of like, all right, starting off, but like seeing them kind of grow as they've like made new rooms over time. And you could just see like every room they go afterwards has been like a big step up. And it's just very kind of cool to see what other stuff they kind of keep going with. Cool. And then another one that I really enjoyed when I was in Toronto, actually, just recently was actually all the ones in Toronto were really good. So that was really hard because I found also some of the Toronto's sets are almost like Toronto's mid level is almost like Edmonton's top level.
Oh yeah.
So there's like some rooms that had like great animatronics, and even as I was watching, I was like, "Oh, this is something I would like experience at Disneyland." I feel like the stuff that is happening right now. Yeah. So there was like, even just name a few. There's like a place like Imaginarium and Daydream Adventures and Crypto, which I think, yeah, those are the ones that I've played recently that have like been really good.
Now, could it also have been the people you were with? Makes the experience as well.
That is true.
You got to meet all those people, and like the energy would have been just like flying. I mean, I'm not saying those were bad games, but it does make a difference who you're playing with. Like I've played with a group, and if one's just like, "This is stupid. I hate this," you're just like,
yeah, it kind of wrecks it.
Yeah, or whatever. But if everybody's into it and you're just like having fun, that can make a difference too for
actually 100% agree. Like those people they were just a lot of fun, and it like again we were all just there for escape room, so it was just a great experience. So definitely probably like it was on a high, and it was just so much fun to play all those ones. The
Edmonton one you talked about, is it the one, because I have done one there with a couple of friends and I can't remember the name, but was it the one where there's these different agents and you're trying to find them, and there was the big hockey foosball? And
yes, they also have that room too. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not the one you're talking about, though.
That's not the specific room I was talking about, but that they also made that room, which was also really good. Yes.
Yeah, that one was fun. I did that one.
That's neat, right? Like the theme behind it, the people you're with, like they did one year at FallCon where they actually had like wooden walls put up in the middle of this.
They brought in an escape
room.
Yeah.
And it was neat though. So you would put in the curtains in the back and then kind of but it was all board game theme, right? And we're a bunch of board game players. So it was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah. Did you
and
do
it? Was
it?
two-room you made. Yeah, actually my team won.
Oh, nice.
So it wasn't thanks to me, but
What do you mean won?
My name was on there.
Like,
because they kept track of time, and whichever team that went through that had the best time won a prize. So yeah, it was neat.
See, it's a team effort, though. I'm sure you helped along at some point.
Oh,
you pointed at a few things, yeah.
I was there for moral support, and I was, like pep them on.
Oh, you're good at those.
Well, that was the first time I ever did an escape room,
really?
Like physical one. Like the at home one, way more. Well, it's easier to get to. And I live in small communities, like I'm even smaller now. I live in a small village of 650 people. So there's no escape room in Acme. Can you imagine? But so that makes a difference. Now, how about the at-home experience? Do you have a favorite that way?
Oh, yeah, that's again loaded question. So I guess just to go to like at home, two other rooms that kind of this is sort of like a hybrid between at home and online because actually during COVID as well, a lot of escape rooms again when they pivoted, they started making at home games, or a lot of places started doing like virtual games.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, originally they first started, they would just kind of take a GoPro, and you would kind of get to navigate the game master through the room and ask him, pick that up, look behind there, can you put this into the lock? Which was really cool at first, but of course, as things kind of went over time, you realize there's some puzzles that don't translate very well onto like a camera. Things like, I remember there was one puzzle where I was like, oh, there's like a maze, and it's like I never realized it's easy to do a maze when you're in person, but when you're trying to guide somebody through a maze on the wall, it's like I feel like, you know what, you're intuitive enough, game master, you just do the maze and just get us out of that. So there was a few places that actually pivoted, and some of them like really embraced the online aspect of it. One of them was at a place called like Escape, and they did one called Pursuit of the Assassin Artist, and that was actually nominated. So the escape room community has something called the Terpecas, Top Escape Room People's Choice something award. I don't remember what that last E stood for. But yeah, they like around the world, they allow people to kind of vote for the best escape room in the world, and they use some sort of fancy algorithm to kind of even the playing field for everybody. So this one was actually, I think, voted like #1 best online escape room in 2020 and 2021 when it came out. But it was just I'll try not to spoil too much because you can still play this one online. But it was just a neat experience because there's an assassin artist out there and you're this secret agent and you have to kind of infiltrate his house and try to get something. I can't remember specifically what it is, but you have this device on you that you're given that if you die, you get transported back to like the beginning of a time loop as you're just about to approach his house. So it was kind of neat because like you're playing from the view of the game master on the GoPro, and like you just bringing up the first puzzle, I guess. So you like trying to get into his house and try to like find his stuff. So you go and knock on the door. He opens the door and he's like, "Who are you?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm selling cookies or something." And he was like, "Oh, well, actually, I was waiting. I thought you were my appointment because I was looking for an assistant, but I guess you're not him." And then he's like, "Oh, but now you see that I just like murdered somebody behind here, so now I have to kill you." So he's like, so he kills you, and then you start back at the time loop, but now you know information, so you go to the door. Now. Yeah, so you're like, "I'm here for the assistant interview," and he's like, "Oh, come on in," and then that's just kind of how the game plays out. So it was very clever.
So that's kind of like Time Stories.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, like which I own. I've looked into it, but I haven't played it yet.
I haven't played that
but
either.
It kind of sounds similar.
Yeah.
You kind of,
yeah.
Okay, try again.
So they're able to like do that onto an online game, which was fantastic. Another one that I really enjoyed was, so I can spoil this one because it's actually from a company in Japan called Scrap. And unless you speak Japanese, you can't play it in English anymore. Yeah. So I guess like you're saying, if you speak Japanese and are looking to play this game, then you just cover your ears. But it's called Escape from the Science Lab of Shifting Rules. And the neat concept they had behind that one was that you're in this laboratory and they were able to create this box that would change rules. And I guess through the game, you have to like complete these objectives to try to be able to get out. But then the box in front of you has like a bunch of different words that you can put onto it and change the rules of the lab. So for example, one of them was like, you have to press 3 orange buttons to be able to escape the room. But on the panel beside you, there's only blue buttons. So you have to go into this lab box and find the word blue equals orange. And then you'd then be able to like go over and press the orange buttons but they were also very quick on everything that we've always wanted to do. So even like if we would put that up to the side, the GM would turn around and all of a sudden the buttons would change color. And we're like, how in the world did you do that so quickly? But the entire game was just trying to think outside the box and just trying to, how can we break these rules with what we have to be able to complete our objectives? Even like, I think another one was, what was it? You have to like untie. Oh no, you have to touch this object. And they had this like fake window, and it was like on the other side of the building or something. So then you had to you had to go back to the machine and be like, how I think it was like change meters to like millimeters. And then all of a sudden you like turn around and all of a sudden like that building is like right beside you. And then you're able to like touch it and everything. And like I said, they were very quick on everything that you could do in that room. So those are like 2 at-home experiences that I enjoyed virtually. But game-wise, there's a bunch of other ones that I've really enjoyed. I guess just to shout out like a few companies, like there's a place called Society of Curiosities, run by this like really sweet couple from Hawaii, Kauai, actually. They have this really creative like escape room games that are fun. They're just so well written and they have like such cool props in them. There's another group called Curious Correspondence Club in Canada, and they did like a monthly mailing, and they just recently finished their like 24 chapter game. And the last game just kind of blew me away because it just played so much on the previous ones, and it was just really? The long game where a lot of stuff you got from the previous games just kind of tied into the end.
And didn't they combine now with Mysterious Package Company? Because
they did, yes.
Yeah, they've joined together or something.
Yeah. So I think the companies merged and now they're just producing a bunch more awesome stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's baffling how they come up with all these things,
especially monthly. Like
yes,
that's a lot of pressure.
So many different puzzles too. Yeah. That's just like, it's just sometimes how do you do that? It's just insane. A few other games too. I mean, there's Scarlet Envelope, also Canada based. They always have some great puzzles, and they come out, I guess, a little more sporadically, but they're all really good because I feel like they put a lot of time and effort to make sure each one comes out really clean. One of my other top ones, I think it's called The Book of Rituals by a company called Lock Me in Europe.
I haven't been able to find it.
And it's just kind of neat. Sorry?
Yeah. Well, I haven't been able to find it. I've been looking for that one.
I think I ended up looking. How did I get a copy? I think we had to review one, so they sent it over. But it was weird because I also found one. When we were in Vancouver, we went into like a mystic kind of like witchy shop, and they actually had a copy there.
Really?
Oh, that's cool.
So I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
you find games everywhere now.
That's right.
Well, and there's quite a few board game reviewers that reviewed that because it's a book,
yeah.
They were reviewing it, and I just kind of never paid attention. And then when I kind of heard it through the puzzle group, then I'm like, I think I saw Broken Meeple review this, and then someone else did it, and I kind of went back and looked at their review, and I'm like, yes, I need to have this now, and I can't find it.
It's really good because overall it's just like an immersive experience, like, and it's just in a book. I felt like because it goes through a lot of alchemy stuff, and
it's
I was
a
like,
game in a book.
Yeah, exactly. And this is but it also felt like if I was to find a book about alchemy in like, some old library, this is exactly what it would look like.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then I guess just a few other games that I recently played that I really enjoyed was we're in the process of playing Light in the Mist by Post Curious.
Oh, yes.
They always have
That's
top
the tarot
games out
cards
from Post Curious.
that I was telling you
That
about.
is, yeah.
Yeah, you would talk about that one, Carla.
That one was a good one. And then I also got to play an advanced copy of Lost in the Shuffle. That was one I played with my group at work. And it also plays non-linearly. So everybody there was puzzles on trading, on playing cards, and everybody
it's a deck of cards, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the card had like a puzzle on it. So everybody was just kind of divide and conquer. Everybody grab a puzzle and everybody got to work on it.
Shift.
Exactly.
Can't figure this one out.
Basically,
Look.
that happened a lot.
It's neat because everybody's brains are different. So you look at some and
Exactly.
you're like, I don't have a clue. But then you grab that one. Oh, I know that one easy. But then someone else, you're like, it's so weird how our brains are all so different.
A while back, we did that for me and my sister with my mom. We bought, I think it was like an exit game
Mhm.
that we gifted her for Mother's Day. And then
Oh,
it
that's
was
fun.
like the daughters and mom get all together and we played this game together. And my mom's not really big a board game player but we got, and it was funny because we set the timer and then right away she went into freak out mode. Oh my God, we're going to get and then we got stuff and me and my sister like, I don't know. And mom would look like, oh, it's this. And it's like, so yeah, like everybody brought different things to the table and we ended up, but like, yeah, I don't think her heart could take it. We got so nervous, like that nervous
She had to beat
energy
the time.
into it.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was just like that pressure really.
The competitive
But
nature.
it was fun. Yeah, right. I didn't know that about my mom.
Yeah.
But it was a neat experience though to do like the daughters and
Uh-huh.
mom and yeah.
I've learned seeing a
It's-
countdown timer really brings out a different person.
Oh, yeah.
When you see it.
Exactly. Yeah. Come on, everybody! There's some people who are just
Yeah.
like, chill. We're just trying to play the game. No, we want to do this. Yeah,
That's
that is
funny.
true. It does bring out the true nature of people in an escape room too, right? Like it's like, where did that come from? You see these people just kind of coming out of nowhere, starting to their personalities.
Quiet ones,
That's right. Yeah.
So now with all these games, you've started designing some. Now talk about what you're designing.
So I actually way back when I started this Facebook group called Perplexing Doodles. And it was more just for me to kind of get into like game. Like I saw some people kind of post some online games, puzzles. And I was like, oh, you know what? I want to give this a try. So I started posting puzzles that I started to make on this Facebook group, as well as I found there wasn't enough at the time, like escape room and escape roomy type of memes. So I was like, okay, well, I got to start making these too.
Of course.
Right?
You guys are definitely...
There's a need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mel's big with the memes. She posts so many board games.
I
I'm
see
gonna
them.
go look for them
Yeah.
now. It's like, really?
Yeah, because you can switch them, interface, like they can...
That's true, actually. There's been a few times I've noticed that. I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen some, like, that Mal will post, and then I see them on the puzzle site, but they're for puzzle games. I'm like, oh, who's getting them from who?
Yeah, so I started making this page and like doing that, just for funsies. And then so oddly enough, I remember starting this group at the end of September, and I'm sure you guys understand this too. But after like making a few puzzles and putting out some memes, and then at the time there was not really a big puzzle community. There was more just escape room community. I was trying to build up like some followers, at least see if somebody's looking at my stuff. And after a month, I think I only had like 10 followers, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how much effort it's going to take to get there. So I remember at the beginning of November, I was thinking to myself, okay, let me see what can I do to bring more followers in. So I was thinking, well, Christmas is coming up, and at the time, there was no other advent calendar of puzzles out there. So I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can like do an advent calendar of puzzles.
Wow.
If I could get people to kind of join up onto my Facebook page and everything and join up. So I remember at that point I sat down and I made like one puzzle a day
Wow.
just to get to the 24 mark. Looking back, I mean, like I made them in like PowerPoint, and like they weren't completely refined because at the time I also didn't have anybody who could really play test them. After those 24 days, I was able to get a puzzle set kind of ready for an advent calendar. And so I kind of post that out there, and I ended up, I think, getting over 100 followers that month.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I think I could. This is all right. So I like posted the puzzles, and it seemed to go over well. So that at that point has ended up kind of becoming an annual thing now, where I would
I'm
make
looking
like
forward
20
to that.
or 24 puzzles. This year, I actually recruited a bunch of other puzzle designers to help, and we made 24 puzzles for that. Yeah, so then just over time, I've just kind of continued making puzzles and just memes to keep that page up. And yeah, actually recently, this year, I've started kind of trying to branch out and actually create some more things and bigger things instead of just one kind of puzzle thing. So even actually yesterday, at my local comic book store, Rolling Tales here, it was free comic book day. So
Right, I heard that.
yeah, so
You
I
just
designed
get a free comic book? Or what is
sort
that?
of. There's a bunch of comics that the comic store purchases, and then that basically at a low price, and then you could kind of go and you could just pick out these titles and kind of grab a
wow.
few free comics, kind of peruse the store, and a lot of them are kind of get into if get
Get
kids
you
into
in the
reading
store,
or
right.
yeah, as
And then
well
you
as
spend
just
another $100 on another
yeah,
comic
basically.
book. Yeah.
But yeah, I created a small pop-up escape game there
Oh,
for
really?
them, and it seemed to go over well.
Nice.
And I have a few other things that I'm hoping to put a little time and effort into. Maybe like what is it they're called? Like audio escape rooms. I was hoping to kind of create one
Oh,
and get that into a
that'd be
convention
cool,
this year.
actually.
So that should be good. But yeah, after finally making weekly puzzles for the last few years, I figured I'd try expand and make something a little bit bigger.
Well, yeah. So, like your weekly
exciting.
puzzles now, do people like it's a Facebook page? It's a free page?
Yes.
That they-
So at the time, I was making a puzzle a week, and people could just come and solve the puzzle. And usually the week after, I would kind of make a post about kind of just like the side notes behind the puzzle and how the solution should be gotten. And at that time too, it was also nice because I could get some feedback. Even a few puzzles I do remember putting out there, and again, puzzles I probably should have play tested a little more. I would put it out there, people would start solving, and then I would be looking, and I thought, yeah, they would start solving, getting these weird answers, and I was like, how'd you get these weird answers? And then I would look close, and I was like, oh yeah, this small thing that I did not think was a big deal is actually a big deal, as it misdirects people. So that's why I always learn, just make sure you get lots of play testing in, and when you're doing puzzles and such.
Well, that's a good way to start and branch out that way.
Yeah.
Because this is growing. It is definitely a growing.
It is. There's a huge community out there now, and it's just so easy to reach out to so many people and find different people, right, Carla?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So there's a huge Facebook page called Puzzling People. Is that what it are?
Puzzle People, yeah.
Puzzle People. And then did you start the Canadian one? So that Puzzle People one is kind of people all over the world. The first one, right?
Yes. So, well, that one, Puzzle People, is for all around the world, and it's more just kind of, puzzling information, just puzzling
people
stuff.
selling some of theirs.
And some people selling. We did start up, I kind of took over the puzzle, I guess, buy and sell group for Canada.
Yeah.
A year or two back, after somebody else wasn't able to do it anymore. So, trying to keep, especially with exchange rates and everything, trying to keep the puzzle love in Canada.
Exactly. And then because it seems like it's the majority of the US in that other site, and Europe too, because you see a bunch of people selling it in pounds or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's, that not so much even the exchange rate, the shipping, and then the duties.
Oh, shipping, right?
Because I've been stuck with a bunch of duties lately, and I'm like, but it's used games. I shouldn't be paying this, but I'm still getting stuck with the duty fees on them. So it's awesome that you have that Canadian one open. I've sold and bought a lot from there.
Yeah, so, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, like you said, try to keep it within Canada.
Yeah.
And then once everybody in Canada is done with it, then we could get it out here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and more Canadians are getting are using the site, I think, as well. Or it's sometimes even from the other site. I'll say, "Are you from Canada? You should get onto this site here," because you can advertise in both, but
that's right. Yeah,
get
that's
on
true.
The Canadian one, so that Well, that's awesome.
that was neat.
So cool to hear all your experiences.
That was like, I'm like making lists. I was like, okay, need to go look this up, need to go look this up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like the puzzle and the escape room. Like, it's really works your brain, which, like, it's just, we should be exercising our brain,
Oh, exactly.
I just think there's a lot of value to it.
There's this great quote, actually, and I wish I kind of prepared it ahead. It's from a book called Puzzle Craft, and it's basically just talks about some puzzles, and he did a quote, but the takeaway message was that when we do a puzzle, we enjoy the pain that we put ourselves into to kind of put us in a bind, but then we enjoy the release afterwards once we solve the puzzle, and it's almost like an addicting feeling.
Yeah, we enjoy those hard decisions, which is very similar to board games because we like the tough, okay, I got to make this decision. I got to make a tough decision here, and it could sway what is like the whole game kind of thing. Whereas that is where I see the similarity in these puzzle games is the tough decisions. I just love them. And then, like you said, the release after. Sometimes you made the wrong decision, but when you make the right decision, it's like, it's awesome. Such an awesome feeling. Yeah, that's a good one.
That is cool. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. And then we do these like first thing in the morning, so on a Sunday morning. So it takes commitment.
Yeah. That's right. I have kids. They were up early.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Then if you're used to it, that's good. Now, next week, or not next week, but next episode, we're going to be doing our top 9 game art. And I think that, like, I have before bought a game on art alone, knew nothing else about the game except that it was beautiful. That was good enough for me. So we'll be talking about our top 9 games that kind of has amazing art as well. Before we call it quits, Carla, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at boardgamespecialist, all one word, and I have a Facebook page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics.
And Matt, how about you? Where can we find you?
You can find Perplexing Doodles on Facebook and Instagram, and you can also find my reviews on Escape the Rumors. They have a website, and actually they're on all social media, so just look up Escape the Rumors.
We'll make sure to add the links as well in our notes. And I'm on Instagram as Mel's_boardgame_room. My Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. And my YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. So thanks for tuning in. Bye, everybody.
Bye.